And hello, and now I'm going to be speaking about broken. As a reminder, I like to say and a lot. One day I will break that habit. I will be discussing broken now, and I'm going to do a random reading of it. Before I begin this reading, this is very important. This book covers, I'm going to go ahead and read the back, and then I'm going to go over my disclaimer, because that's very important. And death it calls as the stone crow breaks, streaks of blood melt o'er my face. Death becomes my withered eyes, and the shadow whispers lies. When a young journalist, William de Shaw, seeks out Elizabeth, an acclaimed author, and hopes to write her biography, the recluse grants him 24 hours to hear her story. What unfolds are events that teeter on the edge of macabre and psychological thriller. Together they descend into the bowels of her psyche and examine her past filled with neglect, rape, abuse, torture, and pedophilia to explore the psychology of a human being who has lived her entire life without love, comfort, family, physical contact, affection, therapy, or medication. As William tries to understand Elizabeth's decisions to embrace an isolated life, he witnesses Elizabeth's multiple mental conditions that send her spiraling into the worlds of her psyche, all while toggling the lines of insanity. Now, as far as the disclaimer goes, I'm going to read that here briefly. I think I'll just go to the notes here and I'll read you the notes. Broken is a work of creative nonfiction. All events, opinions, and views are that of Angela B. Chrysler and are portrayed through subjective perspective based on the memory of Miss Chrysler. While all the events are true, names, places, characteristics, and relationships have been altered and or changed to protect the identity and privacy of the people involved. Some characters have been combined into one, others have been divided into two, while some have been dramatized to better suit the story. The events themselves remain unaltered to the best of the author's memory. The dialogue was composed to create the essence of conversations in an effort to recreate the scene and mood best to the author's memory, and is not to be taken as verbatim quotes. And there's one more piece I must read to you here. The topics covered in Broken are difficult for some people. I portray a number of sensitive subject matters including animal abuse, torture, graphic rape scenes, violence, strong language, and drug references. I do not sugarcoat any of this. Rape, torture, and abuse are true horrors people live through. No dramatization was needed for this part, and I do not believe in softening the truth. Broken is brutal, ugly, and honest. It is not written for shock factor. It was written only for me. If you are a victim of sexual abuse, I strongly encourage you to speak to a therapist before reading this book. Not doing so could prematurely awaken memories you may not be ready for. The results could be disastrous. Now, with that being said, I'm going to open this book and read a random thing from it. I have no idea what I'm going to pull out of this. If you have not been through therapy, and if you are any kind of a sufferer or survivor of rape or sexual assault, abuse, anything like this, if you cannot handle it, please listen wisely, turn off the video now, and do not subject yourself to this. I cannot be responsible if somebody does not. Please listen wisely. Okay. I'm reading through here quickly because I want to see, I have to prepare myself. Okay. This is chapter 19. This is from Agent Orange and Clockwork. April of 1998. I was 17 years old. My class was preparing for their senior trip. My relationship with my father was as strained as it could get. Scott had free range to do whatever he wanted, wherever he wanted, and did. If I didn't answer the phone, I had hell to pay. If I didn't check in at certain assigned intervals, I had hell to pay. And if I didn't comply, I was to be punished. My lessons continued. My math, geometry, and algebra were complete. I'd worked my way up to proofs, and all at once something clicked. The logic sank in, and the numbers, the shapes, the reasoning all made sense. The results carried over into my music. I could see the math in music. I could understand the frequency, and the quality of my work quadrupled. My philosophy, logic, reasoning, and studies expounded and influenced my reading, which I had been grossly behind on. I devoured books, drank words, studied everything I could get my hands onto. I bounced between music, logic, theology, history, literature, and art. Scott started showing up with the classics. Books most people had read as children, I had not even heard of. E.B. White, Roald Dahl, Tolkien, Carroll, Lewis, These were names most children grew up with. I would not hear of them until I was nearly 23 years old. My anger rebounded every time I learned just how much my education had been neglected. In the name of a deity, I was denied truth, education, and the freedom to question. In the name of a deity, I was denied my curiosity. I trusted no teachers. I only ever trusted books, and even then, I learned to check, double-check, quadruple-check the sources. My logic taught me how to identify prejudice. Prejudice. If ever there is anything I hate in this world, it is prejudice and biased opinion. I spent the rest of my existence sorting through altered and biased opinion to find truth and fact, if it wasn't destroyed by imperialists in the process. I had made it clear to my piano instructor what my plans were for music composition, and had requested lessons in music theory. Instead of offering assistance or advice, recommending me books, sources, or other teachers, he argued with me and insisted I would hate the music if I learned the theory. I was months from graduation, and no one had done anything to help me. No one except Scott. Scott, on the other hand, made it perfectly clear that I was not ready for college. I was too far behind. That spring, when my class went to Disney World, I went to Miami with Scott. We walked South Beach. He wined and dined me, took me to more movies where I was forced to perform in the car, at the theater, at the hotel. I was at the point where every movie we watched had sex in it. During every movie, I was expected to perform, whether I wanted to or not. I will make this very clear. The word no was not an option. When I did put up my usual "I don't want to," he shoved his dick in my mouth as if I had said nothing at all. After all these years, I was still mute. Fear, anger, my body learned to become aroused when I experienced these two emotions, but my body also learned to associate fear and anger with other stimuli. To this day, I can't watch a movie, see a commercial, or be around any sexual media without my body responding. Scott taught me to become aroused like clockwork. Oh, it worked. Scott's conditioning also trained me to respond to the anger, the fear, and media. My brain interprets an image or scenario which releases fear and begins arousal. I remember the rapes, I anticipate them, and associate them with a catalyst, the movie, which dumps more fear and leads to more arousal. The abuse from my half-brother, the rapes from my lovers. I'm terrified of men. I am terrified of the penis. But you love men, William said. You aspire to be them. Because my daddy told me so, I said. I should have been a boy, remember? So I learned men. I studied them. When you're around a male, then, William's voice trailed off as he did the math. When I'm around a male, fear sets in, and I remember the rapes during the movies. I become aroused and remember the fear of being beaten. A sexed male, a sated male, is a safe male. Fear triggers sexual arousal. You can't watch TV, William said. I can't watch any movie with sex in it. I can't watch cable. I can't watch commercials. I relive every rape every time I watch a movie with sex or nudity. A commercial with sexual innuendo, a magazine picture with a provocative cover. What happens if you go to the store? The question was rhetorical, but seeing William's face, his mouth agape, unable to process an answer. Shock, I said. I freeze up, slip into other worlds, grab what I need and go. I wallow in fear on the drive home, and once I'm back in my room, I fall apart. Where it's safe to fall apart. If there is a sexually mature male around me, yeah, he has a good time, and I spend the rest of the day climbing the walls. William just stared, unable to speak. We live in a society that sells sex everywhere, William said when he found his voice again. Yes, I do, I said. Welcome to my nightmare. Do you want a beer? I grabbed another 2 beers from the box and seated myself back at the table while he popped the top off his. I took a mouthful before continuing. I've gotten better, I said. But I'll get into that later. I got back to New York, celebrated my 18th birthday, and almost immediately found myself in a new kind of hell. I was pregnant. That's all I'm going to read right now. Broken is currently available on Goodreads. It's a $20. I have a 20-book giveaway. Also, it's 99 cents ebook for the holidays, marked down from $2.99, and the book is currently, I believe, $8.69, marked down from $14 on Amazon. I will provide the links, and thank you again for listening.